Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I've got some progress to show on the vehicle, and I'm excited about it because it's actually starting to get close to the end. If it's not obvious, I've been out here working on the car, getting sweaty before I started making this video. It's about 105 degrees and crazy high humid, so I'm sweating like crazy. So I'm probably not going to do a whole lot more work today, so I thought I'd get the camera out real quick. But the car just came back from Belfab, who did my cold side piping. I don't have the ability to weld aluminum, so I had to outsource that. And then while it was there, I decided to have them replace my front windshield, and I'll show you what else I got. So anyways, here's going to be my Lexan window. The car's been sitting outside, or was sitting outside when it sprinkled a little bit, so it's got spots and stuff all over it. But it came out real good. I wouldn't have put a Lexan windshield in it if it wasn't for the fact that the glass window was broken pretty bad, so there's no way I was going to drive around like that. This thing's already going to attract enough attention from the police. I didn't need to have a broken front window as well. They repositioned my seat. It's pretty far back. That's how I like it. They originally had set up the seat with somebody who's approximately my height sitting in the driver's seat. Well, they didn't do it with the steering wheel in place, so when I got in there, put the steering wheel in, tried to take my foot off the gas pedal and put it onto the brake pedal, I couldn't. The top of my knee was hitting the back of the steering wheel before I could even get my foot even close to getting my foot on top of the pedal. So they repositioned it. By most people's standards, especially theirs, it's way far back. I'm 5'10", and I pretty much drive in this seat. I have to drive with my legs almost completely 100% straight. And when the brake pedal bottoms out, my leg is almost 100% straight. But not the ideal race car setup, I guess, but that's how I prefer to drive, so that's how it's set up. I've got my intercooler piping in here. That's where it's going to sit. They originally had it sitting about 6 inches further back into the leg space of the passenger. I cut a few pipes and was able to slide it forward. And I don't have all the couplers I need, but that's where I need a 45 right there, and then I can hook everything up. I have the two water lines that go on the top. I just haven't hooked them up. As you can see, clamps aren't hooked up and stuff, but that's the one that goes out to the throttle body. Let's see. As you saw in the last video, I did start the car, but it had no piping attached to it. So now I had to trim this. I'll probably trim it again to make it look a little nicer, because you can see how long this really is. This coupler was huge, so a lot of it had to be trimmed off to get it to fit. And then I'll probably paint this just so it's all one color. I mean, I don't really care what it looks like. I'm not going to be walking around popping my hood all. Well, I can't even. It's a lift-off hood, so it's a pain in the butt to take off. So I'm not going to go to the track or a lot of car meets opening the hood immediately when I get there. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Let's see. Everything looks good. I really wanted all the cold side piping in the fenders. You know, I'd mentioned that in numerous of these previous videos. It just didn't work out. It would have been way too much work, and we really had to cut into the body a whole lot. It wasn't practical. So unfortunately that didn't happen. They didn't do this, but I've done this. Master cylinder's in, brake lines are all hooked up. They're all just hand bent. I don't have a special bending tool. I don't have a flaring tool. So everything's just connected with adapters and things like that. The only thing I need to do is hook up the rear axle, and then I can bleed the brakes. But I'm actually going to pull the axle out before I do that. We'll get into that in another video because I'm not touching that today. I have, let's see if I can get the camera. This little guy right here, that's going to be my my brake light switch. So anytime I step on the brakes, that'll electricity will be able to pass through there, so that'll activate my brake lights. I'll probably work on that later today or some point before the end of this video. Was able to find the right fitting for this, so I'm going to be able to reuse the same blow-off valve. I just need to tighten it down. I'm going to plug this. I have the plug for that on order. This does clear the hood by about 1/4 of an inch, so we're good to go there. And And then let's see if I can get another shot from over here. Just another view. So it's the same thing. I have that coupler, which I'm not sure where it's at, but I have it. Here's a better view of the seat from this side. Shifter's in, it's just not tightened down. And then I'm actually gonna put a water tank. I have that on order, should come soon. It'll sit back there, as I'm sure I've mentioned that in other videos. And then the last thing they did for me, well, I got a new drag wing. That's my old one sitting back there from the last car. It was the best I could do with basically hand tools. It came out decent for the fact I've never made one and I didn't have any good tools. And then this is what it looks like when a shop actually builds you one. Got the supports. I need to get the brake lights in. I want to finish up that part of the wiring. So that's probably what the next thing I'll do, because it's easy and I don't have to get under the car since I'm already soaked in sweat and haven't really done anything. So that's what we'll get working today. It'd be nice to wrap up all the brakes, or all the wiring. Unfortunately, I don't like to do wiring, as I've mentioned that numerous times before. So if I hook up just the brake lights, I'll feel like I accomplished something, and then I'll worry about the transmission later. So I guess I'll go ahead and get started on that. Stop rambling here and see what kind of progress I can make before I can't handle the sweat anymore. Alright, sorry for not filming it while I was doing it, but my GoPro's dead and I don't have a mount for this camera. So tail lights are in. The last thing that needs to be wired up is the brake lights, as I mentioned just a moment before. I'm apparently missing my fuse holder. I'm back here looking around on the ground for it. I'm not finding it, so I guess I'm gonna have to go get one of those before I can hook up the brake switch. I have an extra couple spots on my relay panel that I could use, but that just means so much extra wiring. I don't want to go all the way over there. I'd rather just go straight off the main power terminal down there. So much shorter, quicker, easier, etc., etc. So I'm gonna just do an extra fuse or a fuse holder, whatever you want to call it, down there. Run it straight to right here, and then go right back, because the umbilical cord has the brake line wire in it, so I don't even have to run the wires all the way back. I just have to run it to right there. So once I find or am able to get my hands on a fuse holder, I'll get to wiring that up. Alright, so I went and got everything all wired up. I didn't really film any of the work just because who wants to watch someone wire? That's kind of boring. There was no how-to in it. It was just a matter of doing it. I did get the Mega Squirt mounted, made a custom little bracket there to hold it in place. It doesn't wiggle or move at all, so that's nice and safe. It's more wiring running to the relay board. That's all hooked up. I did drill a hole. Let's see, is the power on? Yeah, so there's the wideband. When it warms up, it'll give a different number, but wideband O2 gauge is hooked up. More wiring under there. It looks like a mess, but it's actually pretty organized for my normal wiring. I started on the shifter a little bit. Some of this wiring's done. This needs to go to the trans brake, and then this is actually completely hooked up. I don't know if you can hear the clicking, but that's the line lock. That's working properly. I got the boost solenoid mounted and wired up, but obviously no plumbing, so I'll have to get the vacuum lines. Went to an AutoZone, there was no vacuum lines there, anywhere near the size I needed, so I went to O'Reilly's, exact same thing. So I'm not sure what's going on with that size hose in town, but apparently it's hard to come by. The wideband is in there, nice and secure, all ready to go. I did run into some issues here as we're getting close to wanting to be able to drive it. The cold side piping that was made is sitting too far forward if I want to be able to put the radiator in the stock location. So I'm not sure how I'm going to address that. I might cut it here. I'm not even sure how that's gonna work. Maybe cut this and cut that and just put a 45, and then I can actually be able to shift this back, but I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to have enough room. So obviously at the far end there, it can be rotated a little bit. So we'll cross that bridge when we get there. I mean, I don't have the actual radiator. All I have is a factory radiator that I've been using for mock-up. It's smaller than the one that's coming today via UPS. So once that's here, I can start doing some mock-up. I was hoping to maybe put it in front of this bar, but as you can see, with the nose cone in place, there's no room. So it's gonna have to go either right where this bar is, so I could always move that, but in the end, that's only gonna buy me an inch, although that might be enough. So we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But anyways, when the radiator gets here, I'll start playing with it. I might be able to get myself another couple inches, because it's mostly right there where it hits. Back here, there seems to be tons of room. I could also play with the fan shroud. It seems like they went overkill making this. It's a Mark 8 fan from a Lincoln. Worst case scenario, I can always take most, if not all of this off, and then just mount the factory part of the shroud directly to the radiator, which would save a ton of space, but I wouldn't be pulling air through the entire radiator with the fan. Assuming it still works at this point. But we'll cross that bridge also when we get there, since I don't have all the parts nor the time. Humidity is still out of control, and the final nail in the coffin for me today is, after 4 attempts to fix this pan, Bell Fab let me down. It took less than 24 hours of having oil sit in it for it to start leaking out. So that's gonna be another $160 that I'm gonna have to shell out to buy a new pan. So pretty pissed about that, considering I didn't want to spend any more money on this project anytime soon, but I can't even, you know, idle it through the gears while it's up on the jack stands without an oil pan on it, because obviously I can't hold any fluid, and without any fluid I have no gears. So needless to say, I'm pissed, and I'll cross that bridge later. I mean, I'm gonna have to just put it on the credit card. The other thing I did too, which I guess I could have filmed, but it wasn't worth doing, I adjusted the struts just a little bit. The tires were all the way up here touching. The suspension isn't fully compressed, so I didn't adjust it that far. It looks like it's going off-roading at this point, but it's just because it's up on stands. So I'm looking forward to seeing it back on the ground, see how much clearance I got. The lip under here is pretty crazy. It's way overkill. Not sure, it's kind of dark, hard to see, but it's like 2 inches wide. I can trim that quite a bit and gain a little bit extra clearance, and I should have no problems rubbing. But that's where I'm at for now. I'm going to take a break from wiring. The only thing really I have left to do as far as wiring concerned is, like I said, the trans brake, the overdrive, and then my reverse lights. And all of that involves getting on my back under the car, and I'm not really in the mood to be anywhere near that transmission right now because of the issues I'm having with the pan. So I'm gonna call it a day, and I hope you guys like this video, and hopefully in the next one we'll get to see some work actually being done. Probably pull that rear end out next and start doing a whole bunch of welding. But until then, I'll see you guys next time. Have fun.